talking about the upcoming rework to Limbo. Now, there's a lot of things to discuss, and I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I haven't really touched my Limbo build in ages. The last time I actually touched it was really when I was playing with it, to kind of proc gas damage using the Galatine Prime and Stealth and using all of the crazy multipliers from Rift Surge. But, we'll, I guess, chat about that. Hold on, I'm about to burp. It's the orange juice. Now, one of the things that I will 150% admit, I have been playing Limbo a lot solo, and this is going to be the first time that I actually take him into a public match, which I am slightly afraid of, which is actually something that I guess we can cover with the, what is it called? Cover with the discussion. So, let's go ahead and lay out kind of like the basics of the update that is coming to him. Sarah's Palace Exterminate? Exterminate's not really all that fantastic for him, but why not? So, one of the big things, I guess I could just do it solo. One of the big things that, we've actually kind of had for him is, number one, his number two is now gone. We're going to talk about his rift. I don't even know what it's called anymore. Just him dashing in and out of the rift, which I am super excited about. The more that I played him, the more that I had started wishing that that was like an option. My only big question about his, I guess, passive dash in, dash out is I was wondering if, number one, is it going to cost any energy? And number two, what's the duration on it? Is it just you're in as long as you're in, or not? I think one of the things that I'm going to be really sad about is if I end up really liking the dash, I'm going to feel kind of shitty. I'm going to feel kind of shitty not having it on other Warframes because, as we guys saw on the dev stream, the dash looked really slick. I was like, I almost felt like it had more of a flow to it than the actual in-game version of it. Ooh, just everything is just dying so fast. Well, I guess not really that fast, but fast enough. Now his number one now is going to be an AOE, which I'm kind of actually really excited about, to kind of go along with his third ability. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. So, Banish being an AoE, a lot of people have been very upset about it because a lot of people really liked him for being able to banish targets. Just banish. Wait, is that? No, that's my cat. To banish defense targets, like defense enemies and whatnot, like that. Especially for like sorties. And the thing that I have to say about that is, I think it's still going to be okay. I think a lot of people are overreacting on that one just a little bit, mainly because of the fact that, number one, with Limbo, one of the things that you've always been able to do is range has been very preferential. You know what I mean? It's never been 100% necessary. I feel like it's probably going to be a little bit more necessary with upcoming builds, but even if you have a decent range with it, due to the fact that you can kind of split the battlefield, it's not too hard to kind of go in and clear with Galatine Prime and with his new 3, which is the one thing I'm really excited about. I know everybody's excited about his 2 with the Stasis, but really for me, his 3 is the thing that is gonna change my life. So Banish being an AoE, I'm actually kind of really excited about, but that'll tie more into some of the other abilities. I don't think people need to get as dramatic with it as they have been. They're like, oh my god, it's the end. There's such a large possibility of trolling, and everybody keeps saying that, and I'm like, listen, if you don't play with trolls, you're not gonna end up getting trolled. Okay? Now, if you spend your time playing with trolls all day, then that's your own issue. Me personally, like I said, if somebody is trolling inside of a mission and it's trolling to the point where I would get upset about it, because I mean sometimes some things are made mistakes, you know, they misclick, they don't really mean to necessarily, you know, get you, but sometimes they do end up getting you. But yeah, so the big thing with that is kind of like, I don't think that, I don't know, I don't think that trolling is really as bad as people think, unless you're really playing with assholes. But I've not run into a single Limbo, in public matches that has purposefully trolled. There's been maybe one time where I have like, where somebody had gotten me with a Banish by accident. And, to be honest with you, ooh, I actually like Limbo for that. Ooh, very much. Because you go back into, what is this even called anymore? I guess I don't even really need to remember. Riftwalker? I don't even need to remember anymore because then this thing's gonna be gone. Hopefully sooner than later. I thought I got this. No. Oh. But yeah, so Banish being an AOE, I don't think it's going to be that big a deal, and I genuinely don't think people are as trolly with him as some people think. I almost feel like it's kind of like the Cyanoid Simulor Mirage thing. Like, number one, I barely see Limbo in public missions, as it is. I already don't really see him very often, unless we're like on a mobile defense or something. But legitimately, Limbo is just not something that I see in public matches too much. Number two, the Limbos that I have run into, where is this asshole? You're dead? Okay, cool. And number two, the Limbos that I have run into have been nothing but almost, sometimes even almost apologetic for playing Limbo in groups. And I'm like, ugh, don't feel bad, play what you like, we'll be okay. To my death. Nope. Oh, I thought he was gonna come after me. It's okay, I got you. Did I get the Kuva too? I got the Kuva as well. 2-in-1. Yes. Different kind of 2-in-1, in fact. Now I feel bad because the loadout I'm bringing actually uses the Naramon focus, and I don't think that any mission that I've been on thus far has actually existed long enough for me to actually access the full Naramon focus with Shadow Step and everything. I think it takes me like a couple minutes, like about 3 minutes to get into it or something like that. Alright, so the next ability is the number 2, which a lot of people are excited about, however, I'm really not that excited about it. So it's the new Stasis ability, which kind of locks enemies in time. It just kind of pauses everything within the rift. Now, I have a big question for that. Is number 1, does it affect everything in the rift that is currently in the rift, or does it affect the rift, period? So that's one of the things that I want to, that I kind of want to explore before I actually kind of like, give my positive or negative. Because right now, I believe last time that we checked, it was all in QA. So that's kind of the quality assessment part where they decide like what's the energy cost, how many projectiles will it be able to hold. Because the Stasis can only hold so many enemies, and it can only hold so many projectiles before the rift breaks, I guess you would say. And what ends up happening is if the rift breaks, of course, time begins again. It unleashes all of the attacks that you had in the time being. And then after that, what happens is, because of the fact that the rift destabilized on you while you had stasis up, what ends up happening is that... No, I don't... I know, people are like, oh, you can do a rescue. I don't really... that's not something I actually really like. Let's do... How do we do an excavation? I don't think I've ever tried doing an excavation with him. I don't want to do it solo though. Bring a team. It's really late at night, and I don't want to do it by myself. But yeah, if this doesn't kick off real quick, we'll move on. But yeah, so that's the thing that I'm concerned about. I was like, I need to know the numbers. I need to figure out how many enemies you're going to be able to hold. Will it scale with power strength? What's going to be the deal? And the other thing that I need to know with that is, how will we know when we are reaching like the cap? How will we know when we've, taken in too many? How will we know? Will there be like a progress bar? Like what's the deal behind that? Because I feel like that's going to be a little bit of a jumble to try to communicate in an AI point of view. Come on, just one more. Somebody said, get all the way out. and then we'll all go all back in. But yeah, so that's definitely one of the things that I am concerned about. I really want to play this excavation because I really want to see how he does excavation wise. Well, this is all poopy. But yeah, so the stasis is kind of something, they made it look like a big deal, and it could be a real big deal if all of the numbers are right, you know what I mean? So if we have the appropriate amount of projectiles held and they have a good way of communicating it to us. But to me right now, I still need to know, is it just everything that's currently in the rift? Is it everything that begins to enter the rift? So it's kind of like if you have an area rifted, you know, like if I have a Cataclysm out, will enemies that enter that rift be in stasis or will they still be in motion? You know, I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on with that ability that I'm like, we'll see. We'll see. It sounds great in concept, but I want to see it live. Now, number 3 is really what I'm excited about, and I know that people are so busy looking and freaking out about the other ones that I'm just kind of like, meh. Is anybody here? I'm kind of not super ridiculously excited about number 2, but number 3 is really kind of like where it's at for me. So Rift Surge is the new variation, where basically you Rift Surge everything in an area of effect, and I'm assuming because they specifically said on the dev stream that it's an area of effect within the rift. So to me, what that means is area of effect within the rift. So that means that everything, it's still centered around you as the Limbo player. However, it's not going to hit every single thing. At least that's my understanding of it. Wait, why is this here? Why is what is happening? Why is this happening to me? This is not... How do you even... Oh, it's because I'm in the goddamn fucking rift. Forgot all about it. Okay, now we're cooking with gas. Anyway, so for me, that's kind of the big issue is, okay, so it's area of effect, it's within the rift, but it's centered around you. Now, the thing that I'm really excited is about the fact that it acts kind of like molecular prime, where you can use it to cause damage to enemies that are surrounding, and it might not, it doesn't even necessarily need to be enemies within the rift. As long as you detonate somebody who was affected by Rift Surge, which, you know, only occurs within the rift, then it can arc out to other enemies on the material plane. So it's almost kind of like, if you think about it this way, you could totally banish a group of enemies and use them as almost like a detonation bomb, right? I'm like super into that. I was like, oh my god, like that would be so cool, because what you can do is you can just take a little grouping of enemies and turn them, and turn that squad's approach into their own demise. So I'm really into that. I think that's going to be a lot more fun than people are giving it credit for right now. And, I've got a feeling in my bones that that's going to be their new, the bread and butter. The bread and butter of the kit. At least, personally, that's what I think it is. I think that his number 2, the Stasis, is going to have a little bit of a cool factor, but when it comes down to, like, the bread and butter of it, I think that it's going to be between the new Cataclysm and, between the new Cataclysm and the number 3, which is the Rift Surge. I'm just kind of secretly hoping, though, that they don't change the Rift Surge augment, because I know that there are a lot of Limbo players that love the Rift Surge augment for the extra damage that they can do, because that multiplier stacks on top of the melee multiplier. So it's multiplicative to the other multiplicative thing. So it's kind of like double multipliers, which is absolutely insane and allows is the whole Limbo super slash trick, which I guess I'll show you guys, because it's a little bit hard to show you here. In this actual mission, you need a mission where you're not, you need a mission that goes a little bit longer and maybe has some scaling to it to really show off the benefits of that build. But yeah, so I'm really excited about that, and I'm excited about the new Rift Surge. Or no, not the new Rift Surge, the new Cataclysm. So the new number 4, as you guys know, is now going to deal damage. Well, it instantly, what's going to end up happening is there's going to be a stun that occurs. And please, I would love it. I would love it, love it, love it if it was like a stun, but it was also kind of like either a knockdown or a knockdown or like a finisher opener. That would be so cool. That would be awesome if you kind of like staggered them. And then it would be like a finisher. And then they, you know, I don't know. You guys know I just love finisher moves, but I think it's kind of like nice to kind of give your team that ability to get in a couple melee finishers and kind of execute some enemies very, very quickly upon the cast. And I think that's going to be a whole lot of fun. But I think what a lot of depending on the numbers, and again, this all depends on the numbers that comes out of it, is that I think that there's gonna end up being a lot of nuker limbos. Because honestly, before, nuker limbo was kind of a joke. Whenever I saw somebody running a nuker limbo, I was a little bit like, it really doesn't deal that much damage for you to like be spamming it as much as you're spamming it. But okay, at least nuker limbo this time around is gonna deal damage based on how many enemies are currently in the rift. And I'm like, okay, that's actually pretty good, because if you get a nice hefty squad in there, you know, if you get a nice hefty squad in there, you can actually deal a good chunk of damage to everybody that's in there. So I'm kind of excited about that for the people that are into that kind of gameplay. Now, me personally, not my gameplay type. However, I can see its benefits. I can definitely see its benefits. I'll just pick up some of these energies. So I'm definitely excited about it, but I think the one thing that we need to talk about, and I think that it's on everybody's minds, and something that I had actually mentioned in the rework video that I had proposed for Limbo a while ago, was the fact that this does not change very much when it comes to his group friendliness, right? Like, this makes Limbo, I feel like this makes Limbo a better Limbo, but it doesn't necessarily make him a group friendlier Limbo. There's still nothing all that attractive about fighting the Void for allies, at least in my own perspective, other than the fact that Limbo has the option to Stasis them. But even in that case, Stasis doesn't, like, all of the damage that comes out doesn't necessarily doesn't necessarily go into effect until Limbo himself releases the Rift. And for some players that can be really frustrating, because we talked about it last time, where we had the whole incident with Ashe, and how kind of like Ashe did his whole Blade Storm thing, but you guys couldn't do any damage to the enemies while it was there. So it's a very similar thing to that. At least I feel like it's a very similar thing to that. And I kind of feel like, oh, where you at? Oh, no energy? Come on. Oop, there you go. Yeah, so I kind of feel like it's the same story. And it's definitely frustrating, because that's the #1 place where I think a lot of people could agree that Limbo had issues, right? Why can't I, breathe whenever I think about you? No, why can't I, get that guy? I should have been able to put him into the Rift. I put them into the Rift in the last mission, so I don't know why it's not possible in this one. I can actually, you know what? I'm Limbo. I'm about to die, aren't I? Wait, where's the fucking... Hold on. I need to deal with this asshole right here. Hi. You remember me? Go to fucking hell, piece of shit. I will take care of this very quickly. There you go. Well, technically this is an interception, so that I'm sure they could still do damage to it, but I think we're gonna be good. But yeah, no, so it still doesn't change the fact that I don't really feel that he's any more group friendly than he was before, which was the biggest... What? See? Why can't I banish you? I should be... That's the issue. I should be able to banish you. Because... Well, fuck my life. Okay, sorry. I'm a little quizzical as to why certain things are happening. But no, yeah, so that's kind of like my big issues. I feel like the flow to the Limbo gameplay is going to be better for current Limbo players, but I don't necessarily feel like Limbo himself is going to be much better off when it comes to group antics. I still feel like he's going to be, a lot of people are still going to look at him on the outside for that. But of course, you know, and I'm going to be frank, this is me talking about it from the perspective of someone who hasn't actually gotten a chance to play it. And I don't necessarily feel like, you know, we should all base our judgments off of how this thing is going to perform without actually having used it. What the? Okay, we did get it though, right? We did get it. But yeah, so that's kind of my stance on everything that's going on right now. I think that it's going to be fantastic for the players who play Limbo as Limbo. I think Limbo is going to be better than he was previous. I think that a lot of Limbo players are going to have a lot more fun with him, and I think that there are going to be a lot of cool synergies that come out of this. However, I don't necessarily feel like his group play is going to be any better, to be honest with you. I feel like his group play is still going to feel very similar to what it is now, which I think a lot of people, which is one of the big reasons that I feel people are kind of like unhappy with Limbo, is because he's clunky in a group, or people don't quite get him. And that's another thing, you know, that's another point that I always kind of want to put out there into the universe, is like, oh, maybe this will get people to learn more about the Rift mechanic. This will cause people to enlighten themselves on the positives that they can get from it, as opposed to just consistently thinking that it's a complete negative. Now, I'm not going to say it's a complete positive being in the Rift either, but knowing how to use it to your advantage if you've got a Limbo on your team makes you a better player in general. You know, I always say player responsibility, and knowing how the Rift works is, I definitely feel, a big player responsibility. You know, you should know the mechanics of the game. That's kind of how it is. But at the end of the day, I still feel like he's going to have the group problems that he's previously had. But I don't know. I can't wait to play him, to be honest with you, because, like I said, I like playing him now. I don't necessarily feel like he's maybe like the top tier end game, you know, bringer of death. Like, well, actually, let me show you how he becomes a top tier end game bringer of death in a second. But no, the big thing for me is kind of like, I don't think the perception of him in groups is going to change very much, but I think that his actual in-game gameplay is going to be fun as hell. I definitely think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really, really excited for the, oh my god, the 1 and 3 combination. That's like where my head is going to right now. It's like, oh my god, 1 and 3 is going to be so fun. Like, I want to see what the modding is going to be like for it. 2, I'm less excited about, but I wouldn't say that it's a bad ability. I'm just apprehensive of how it's going to be balanced and whatnot, because there can, I don't know. I think it's going to be one of, I'm biting my tongue. I feel really, really bad because I'm not 100% sure. I could be totally kicking myself right now. Because, you know, I'm speaking without knowing, and you guys know I hate it when, like, that is a thing that happens. But yeah, I feel kind of like along the lines of like, oh, well, it sounds great on paper. I feel like it's almost gonna be like how a lot of people fell in love with, like, sleight of hand. I'm like, ooh, sleight of hand looks like it's gonna be super duper ultra cool, right? Like, it's gonna be the new cool hotness, but in reality, and by the way, I haven't practiced this in a while, so this might get really sloppy and get really ugly. We'll find out in a hot second. Rift Surge, I need number 5. So what I'm doing right now is dying without even stepping off of the pad. That's what I'm doing as we speak. Those jerks! But at least you know we're not fooling around here. We are not fooling around. Oh shit, I didn't need 20. I didn't need 20. Hold on. We're taking this back. You know what? Let's do 20. Let's see how we fare with 20. Let's do the 20 thing. Oh god, this is gonna be terrible. Okay, we do this, and then we do this. And then we go here. And then we get the crits to happen, right? And then we do a little bit of this, right? And then we start unleashing the monstrosity that is multipliers. That is multiplier on top of multiplier. So you guys, you guys could tell this stuff was definitely a little bit ugly before. And I am using the Galatine, so this isn't necessarily optimized and optimal. Usually, like something along the lines with like the dual combos would work really well. Let's grab you. Oh, no wonder my Rift Surge was down. I don't know how they saw me. But let's try that one more time. Clearly, sloppy play from Rob here at A Gay Guy Plays, but I mean, you don't expect any less, right? So let's do that again. And basically what happens here is because I have the Rift, I have the, oh my god, I forgot what the ability was called. It's called, it's an augment. It's one of his augments that adds a multiplier to the Rift for every enemy that's within the Rift, right? So basically what's happening is it is taking my 2x melee multiplier, and then it is multiplying it by the multiplier of the Rift Surge ability. So it's like all kinds of rifty goodness right there. Is there anybody else? Am I done? I'm gonna get like a random bombard bullet on me, aren't I? No? No? Okay. So you guys kind of get how that works. Let's take a look. Let's take a quick look at the build again, just so, in case you guys were like, what's happening? What I don't know what it is. But it is specifically the Rift Torrent ability. There you go. So damage multiplier is increased by 20% for each enemy in the Rift. And let's see, abilities. So right now, Rift Surge on its own has a 4.4 times damage multiplier, and then so right now we have the Galatine, and as you can see at that point in time, I was fighting with a 2x multiplier, and then the damage multiplier multiplies that multiplier, and then we also have the Rift Surge, or no, the Rift Torrent percentage increase, which increases this damage multiplier and increases the overall. It's a crazy thing, and I'm not even sure if I'm explaining it right, but basically it's multiplier stacking on top of multiplier, and it can get pretty nasty. So when you have a Limbo that knows what they're doing, and I mean it's pretty simple, because I was working it off of gas too. It doesn't necessarily need to be off of gas. You can use it off of slash as well. But I figured, hey, why not try it with gas today, right? And that's kind of the cool thing when you've got multipliers this big. Everything kind of melts anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Everything just ends up dying, even if they're level 145 bombards. So I mean, this is kind of like, and this is one of those like big meta tricks that a lot of the Limbo players, like the high-minded Limbo players are using. I know it sounds so like it sounds like I'm talking so snotty about it, but literally a good Limbo player has to understand their mechanics. And as you can see, Limbo players are using that trick. You know what I mean? The multiplier to stack on top of a multiplier, and then you use the gas procs with the gas procs that come off of the Narrowmon focus. You combine all of that together, and it's this big, like freaking mechanical symphony of like destruction. So you know, when people say that Limbo isn't strong, it's, in my head, it's he's strong, but people just aren't immersed in the mechanics enough to understand what the fuck is going on. Because if you just saw that, legitimately, if you saw that, you would be like, I don't, what? He's supposed to be weak, right? No? Nah, but mechanically, he's a really amazing frame. And that's why I can't wait to see what ends up happening with all of his abilities in the rework. I'm really excited for it. I just wish that they had, you know, I don't know, made the Rift a little bit more appealing to group play. I think that's pretty much my own gripes, and I think I'm gonna shut up right now because I just looked at the timer, and it's another 30-minute video from Rob, which I know that everybody hates. So I'm gonna leave you guys, and as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch yo body. I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.